Hi folks, welcome back. It's time to get stuck back into a proper DIY project. None of this barbecue fancy pants nonsense. We're going for a simple shed build. Stick around and we're going to make a start. So for the past couple of weeks, I've been working on the end of the garage. All that natural stone, you may have seen it on Instagram, all the pointing and messing around with that. It's all really random stone, so it's been really painfully slow progress. So this week, I'm going to pause from that and make a start on something which is going to be a much quicker, a much more satisfying project. Now before last year, our polytunnel was in this space here. But we moved the polytunnel down there, so it runs west to east, which opens up a whole load of potential. What I need is storage for things like lawnmower, cement mixer, plate compactor, basically Tim's hire shop. And then the other half of this build, which basically is going to be a big shed, split in half. The other half is going to be where I'm going to hopefully put some of my metal work, the forge, the grinding, the welding, because I do not want to be mixing that with sawdust. So today's job is to get the groundworks dug, basically just a nice pot of concrete under each post. Before we can do any of that, I'm going to steal about a metre of the chicken pen. I'm going to move this whole fence that way, so I'm going to concrete in 2 posts there, then we can move the mesh tomorrow when it's all solid. That way I can have a walkway, so basically the front of our new shed is going to be here, which makes it 2.4 deep with a bit of space behind for the hedge. I don't want to kill off the hedge. That also means that I can cut some steps in from the top level, so we can come down from the new workshop, which isn't built yet, down to the shed to access bits and bobs. Right, that's the chicken fence moved. What I want to do is mix up all the concrete at once. So I need 3 posts put in there, and then our little 6 pad stones, or whatever we're going to call them, for the footings for our posts here. Once those footings are in, however big they end up being, we'll then use a post base on top of those. You can get concrete in ones, but I think I've got some of the bolt down ones already. We'll use those because then we can fine tune things tomorrow once it's all set. I'm just going to go with 4.8 by 2.4, which is 16 by 8 feet, which is fine for what we need. It's a decent sized space inside. I'm going to be using full sheets on the inside, and then we'll be cladding the outside, and for that reason we should end up with less wastage if we think about it now rather than next week. Right, because this is a little bit unconventional in that I'm not too fussed about the floor in here, I'm going to put some simple type 1 down compacted in the end, and maybe I can pour a slab in the future, but what I need is just a shelter. It's closer to being more like a field shelter you'd have for horses or ponies or whatever, but anyway, to make sure all of our bases at the bottom of all the posts are level, I'm going to make a little cube of concrete, just using some old stud work in order to just create like a little bit of shuttering. I can then level all of those so that everything's basically flat. one little tip, rather than having to cut two different sizes to end up with a square, if you're doing just rough stuff like this, if you alternate your corner joins, so you're butting in this way then butting in that way all the way around, then it's pretty simple. You end up with a nice square and it's fine for rough work, and then we can just screw in. Right, that is the last done. So we've got all 6 of the little shuttered footings done. What I've done is set the frame on the level, so they're all flush on top, and then the actual core that goes down, the deeper bit, I've just done with the post hole diggers to get down and give us the depth. So it's kind of a slightly shaped footing. Before I pour this last one, this is what I meant. I've kind of dug out a square to sit our formwork in, so it's kind of level around there, and then gone down an extra 300 or 400, probably 450 actually, down, I guess that's what, 200 mil, 250, all the way down. That's all of our footings done. The 6 pads for the building, and then the 3 fence posts moved across for the chicken run, which leaves our path down the middle. So my last job really, because I can't do anything else structurally now, is just to sort out the levels. I haven't touched any of the levels at all. I've kind of treated it as it was. I flattened this off years ago before I put this weed fabric down. You can see over here we're just above, which is probably just about okay. Down the far end, on the far end over in that corner, we are 100 mil above. That corner, Frankenstein shuttering, we are just over 100. So we can correct a lot of that end by building up the sub base, and that's fine. At this end though, we're flush with the soil level. So what I want to do is just take out a little bit of this. Right, we're one day on now and all of the concrete is set and we can just crack on with the next stage. But before we finish this video, I'll just show you how all the shuttering is going to come off, and then we can make a start with the building in the next episode. Now, I did say that quite optimistically, So hopefully this will all come out as easy as I'm hoping. There we go. If anything, that's just going to help it even more. It's just a little bit more bulk underground. So I'm afraid I haven't got a fancy plan to show you or a design. This is more of a make it up as you go type project. But the whole principle by building this way is we only have to worry about those 6 points of contact. We're not pouring a big slab to start with. We're not doing a big timber suspended floor to build off. It's more like a portal frame barn that you might see here in the UK, an agricultural type building where you're basically using your verticals as the bearing points for the whole building. It's not like a stud wall on the sides, or a pole barn is what you might call it in the US. Those designs are slightly different, but the principle is the same. Right, that's it for today. I've got to go out and pick up some additional timber, good clear down, and then we can start on the framing. So that'll be the next episode. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.